Hi, guys. Welcome to Once in a Wild, where every once in a while we have meaningful conversations with meaningful people. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. Okay, so welcome to Once in a Wild. Today we are
Thank you.
talking with Sarah Haynes. So we have not gotten a chance to meet or talk or hang out or anything. Not only are we states away, but we're both like busy people. So we just
Mhm.
have not crossed paths. So y'all are seeing it for the first time of us actually getting to chat, which has been on my list for so long. Before we get into anything, first and foremost, I want to let you know that I am such a huge fan of you. I don't know if you know that. I've been
I do
keeping
not.
like a little secret inside myself, but I had to take a minute to say that there's a weird thing about the internet where you can feel someone's vibe through the internet, which you wouldn't think would come through. And for you, it comes through so strong and so heavily because the internet's cluttered with so much stuff and
Oh, yeah.
ads and drama and yada. And so when I see your stuff, I'm always so pleased. And the biggest word that came to mind about your content and what you bring across is just refreshing. That was the
Thank you.
word that just came to me again and again is like there's something fresh and clean and just inspiring and light about your content. So keep doing what you're doing. It's coming
Thank you.
through. And I think we don't get to hear that as creators. We just put stuff out there and cross our fingers and we don't know.
Exactly.
Or
And
you
I'm always like,
yeah,
"I don't know what's happening with this."
or you only get the bad comments or things are reduced down to, "Oh, that post didn't perform well." Another reason why I'm doing this is because I really want to get back to the human beings like behind the algorithm.
Mhm.
And so it's working. What you're doing
Thank
is
you.
working.
Thank you.
Keep
I
doing
love to
it.
hear it because it feels awkward and, like,
Yeah.
silly to do these things and to put myself out
Yeah.
there, but then when my husband is such a fun, like, partner in
Yeah.
that way. He does a lot of the recordings, and he helps
Oh.
me edit.
Something else that we have in common is that we both live in absolutely stunning places.
Yes.
So tell me real quick, one of the things I noticed is you live down like a beautiful long lane, right? And
Yes.
so
Yep.
do I. So where do you live at and how did you get there?
I live in the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire. This wasn't where we planned to move. We just moved here about a year ago. It's where I always wanted to move because there's 9 beautiful, pristine lakes. I'm a huge
Ooh,
and avid like canoeer, so I love to be on the water. And then it so happened we needed a house, and this one was literally in a sea of madness of trying to buy a house in this day and age.
yeah.
It was like this was the one that they just it was waiting for us, and they accepted our offer. I found out as soon as I got here, it's like the fiber arts capital of New England. They
Stop
invented like
it.
the loom in town. And so I was already doing fiber arts for so long. I was like with my people, there's a
Wow.
beautiful Harris Center is pretty close by, and they have all the handmade looms and wool and just so it was and this my kids' school's right up the street. Everything just fit perfect. I do not take it for granted any
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Every single day I wake up and I'm like, yes,
That's yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about that is because I've had a similar experience of just like I had a need and I looked around and I found something that I just could not believe. I was just like
yes.
absolutely gobsmacked because you have a home studio,
Yes.
right?
I get to wake up. I get to get my coffee. I get to go down and set up my studio. I it feels effortless and I feel like too lucky
Yeah.
that I get to do this
Yeah.
and make a living out of it. And it's pinch me every time that I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't believe that. And then creating something from your own hands
Yeah.
is
And
pretty
just
much
more so like having the privilege to just be surrounded by natural beauty and to live in a place
oh,
that like other people would kill for. I'm just
yes.
selfishly wondering. I was like, I wonder if she feels the same way I do.
And so many of my clients are like, I want to move here. I want to live out here because they're from like the city or a much more like suburban area where it's out here is just kind of nothing fields
Yeah,
and
same.
farm animals.
Yeah,
So
and you're right on a lake, correct?
pretty close to a lake. I'm
Yeah.
about 3 miles from my favorite lake, but we're also surrounded. Like there's just so many in this little town
Wow.
that well, a lot of them are like walking distance. There's a gorge nearby. There's hiking trails. Not that I am a big avid hiker. I walk
I
usually through the
walk the
forest.
forest, which is technically hiking.
That's what I'll call it. I'm a hiker. I'm a gentle hiker.
Yeah. I live in a very similar area, very large patch of woods and just surrounded by nature. We have a gorge right down the road, and so I just thought, "Wow, this is so similar," and I
So
wonder if
similar.
you wake up every day with the same feeling that I do. So I'm always excited when I come across other people that have that too, and I go, how are you dealing with this? How are you dealing with this wonderfulness?" Which you would think would be all positive, but there is a little side of it of, I want that for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly, exactly, and a little bit of guilt in there.
Sure, just a little
Just a
bit.
little
But
bit.
you're sharing it and I'm sharing it, and I think
Yeah.
that was one of my big motivations of moving my studio back home was like, I wanna share this, and I want this to
Yes.
be here. So that leads into my next question is, have you ever had a studio shop, anything like that outside of the home, or have you always done home studio?
Always home studio. It fit for my kids were home for a while. It fit our lifestyle to just be able to be
Yeah.
home, but also make money and contribute to
Yeah.
my family.
Yeah.
So I've luckily always had the privilege of having extra space, even in my
Nice.
former house, to have a little studio, which was hard to leave my last
Right.
studio and move it to this one. It wasn't really a choice at first, but I do not regret a single moment. It's everything is what you make it. I'm only about a half an hour from where I was
Okay.
before, which I, even though it was only a half an hour, I got scared. I was afraid maybe clients wouldn't follow me. Maybe it's a little bit more tucked away than my last place was, but it hasn't been an issue.
No,
My,
people are usually pretty willing. I can tell you I've moved my operations so many times. And
they'll follow.
my clients are so gracious and so nice. I had so many people that were like, "I'll come meet you at the mall. I'll see you in a field. It doesn't matter." So I was like, "Okay."
Exactly. We have the real ones for sure.
Now, so give us some basics. I know we mentioned it a little bit. Where are you working out of? We
Home
know we're
studio.
gonna call you Greenthumblady.
But
Tell us about your location, what's near you, what services are you offering? Give us the spiel.
okay, so home studio in southern New Hampshire, pretty close to the Mass border, right outside of Keene, which is, I guess, the nearest, maybe well known city for New Englanders that they might know. I offer like your basic dreadlock services, maintenance, installs, extensions, hair wrap, decor. I am set up not like a salon, so I don't do
Mhm.
the detox thing or
Right.
I don't dye hair, I don't do haircuts, any of those things. Just your general dreadlock type of activities. And then I also do a lot of fiber art. So I have a little shop where I sell all my crochet and macrame
Cool.
and everything else. Yeah. So that's pretty much
Is this what you do exclusively, or do you do anything else on the side?
this is it now. I got, once again, super lucky. I got to transition out, especially during COVID, everything shut down. And that's when I started learning and really being able to be home to learn how to do this and
Mm,
then got to take classes. But before that, I was teaching preschool and then I taught special needs kids on the
yeah.
spectrum for many years and decided not wanting to go back to the schools, wanting something different. I had originally gone to college for art a long time ago and then
Oh,
yeah, everybody in your ears like, "You can't be an artist for a job, that's not a real job, like, you'll how will you work? How will you survive?" So I really let that
look
get
at
in
me
my
now,
head.
mom. Look at me now.
Exactly. Exactly, and I really let that get in my head for a long time, and it wasn't until the last 5 years I was like, "You know what? I'm in a different direction, I need something that, like, feeds my soul." And art does that, but also more than that, interactions with people.
Yeah,
I think that has fulfilled me so much and keeps me so motivated. Of course, I love dreads. I love
of
creating. I
course.
love wool and incorporating work and also my passions. And those are all great. But I will say, like, just meeting people,
Yeah.
community, connecting with people from all over the world, even was not something I expected when I decided to go this route,
Yeah.
which has been like the most pleasant surprise out of everything.
Yeah.
Is just like where it's taken me, where I was like a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Before that, I was a teacher. Like I just didn't have any idea that this is where I would end up.
So for you, it's really a convergence of all those little things you've done in the past
Mm,
coming together into
exactly.
one
I just
modality.
yeah,
That's
I've
really
lived like
cool.
many lives and I have a bachelor's degree in psychology
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm not going to use it, but I do,
Yeah,
And
that's what I was curious about because I did notice that in some of the things you had talked about and you being a caseworker and working with students with autism, things like that. How do you feel that background has played a role in what you do now?
That changed my entire life. I went from privileged middle class kid, college, got into the real world, didn't know what the real world was, and then being in a classroom and these kids were I make preschool to first grade, so it was like the very
Wow.
beginning. I got a whole different perspective of life. I got to see how others viewed the world and so differently. I got to think in different ways. I got to meet different families. So as a person, I like matured. I just realized like what was important in life.
Mm,
And then the skill sets that I got from those jobs, just even being able to work with people,
mm,
empathy, which I already had overwhelmingly, but like a different phase
yeah.
of it. And just like even the challenges that came with that were, and being able to overcome them. So I really think it set me up for life. I don't regret a second of it. I always say to this day, those kiddos taught me way more than I could have ever taught
Wow.
them. And whether they'll know in the future or not, I still have some students that I keep in contact with, which is great because they're
Oh,
like graduating college
wow.
and like living their lives. And there's a lot that I wish I could still keep in contact with
For
some of the
sure.
kids, but the ones that I do to keep in contact with remind me every time that like I did the right thing and that they changed me and that I hope that I helped them along the
Yeah.
way too. So I think it made me braver,
Y
more confident in my own abilities.
yeah.
And yeah, from then on, I always think that's like my base. That's
Yeah.
like what I'll always go back to.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
Cool.
Side note, have you listened to the telepathy tapes?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanna talk about forever.
I have one client that her and I will just she was the one that brought him up, and then I was like, "Oh, no, now you've
Yeah.
rabbit hole. I'm in
Yeah.
trouble."
What did you think about that?
I'm a believer in
Yeah.
absolutely even sitting across I was bringing up so many of my students that were
Right.
nonverbal that understood so much more than other people realized, and we had this practice in our classroom was really understanding, whereas even didn't matter how old they were, didn't matter what level they were at verbally. It was if we're talking, we're like, hey, we're gonna talk about what we're working on. We're always like, because you just don't never
You never
know.
know.
And I have seen so many students and they would do certain things and I'd be like, I see you.
Mhm.
I see you in there.
And
And
I
I
bet
know that
now you're like your mind is just, like, thinking
now I'm
back to
like
so many scenarios.
validated. Like I and then it just makes me wonder like,
You're like, "I knew it."
wh yes, exactly, like, I knew it,
Yeah.
and you get a feeling when you work with those kids and you're with them all the
Mhm.
time, like, you can see
Yeah.
there's a lot more than they get credit for in a lot of
Absolutely.
things.
And the most shocking thing to me is not only the commentary and the eye-opening factor of non-speakers and even people that aren't necessarily non-speakers, anyone along that spectrum line, the implications for that community and what we're learning, but I'm far more fascinated by the implications that it gives about humanity and about,
Yes.
like, human life and the human mind is far more
Yes.
fascinating to me. Don't get me wrong, I am just as excited about non-speakers having these abilities and having that be scientifically proven and things like that, but I am secretly way more excited about what it says about human nature and what our capabilities are, and just that's something that showed up really big in my life, so anytime I meet someone that knows about this, I'm like, "Can we please talk about this?" Because
Yes, the
it's the most
human
important
brain
thing.
fascinates me. The
Yeah.
human brain is fascinating me. I think that's why I switched to psychology. What we're capable of is amazing.
I absolutely love it. We will have to do a separate podcast about the telepathy tapes and all those things.
Yes.
And selfishly, I'm a little interested as well because I'm on the spectrum, which a lot of people don't know. And so is
Mhm.
most of my family. And so I always get a few little nuggets for myself as well
Exactly.
that help me understand myself better. So
I love that.
that line of work that you were in, what was the thing that caused you to move out of that line of work? Because I'm
Uh,
trying to get a full picture of how you transitioned into this.
yeah, so I went from leaving that it was never the kids. I always
Of
say
course.
administrations, things get hairy, things get taken from people that shouldn't, and it was hard to participate in that anymore, and I needed a new I needed a new
It's
journey.
crushing. It's really
It's soul crushing because you only can fight so much, especially in my position where it was more of a caseworker, para. Like I'm not an administrator. I don't sign the checks. So I have to do what I'm told. That got hard. And then also like becoming a mom myself and balancing that got pretty tricky. So I took a break from teaching for a little bit, worked on my macrame. I started making art, peddling it, craft fairs, things like that. When my kiddo got older, we had to have a life change, a big one. So it was just him. And I went back to teaching because I could bring him to the school that I was working
Okay.
at. He could be in the other room. So I reverted back to what I was good at and what I knew until I could get back on my feet again.
Mm.
And then this is when this all happened. And it happened really strange. My friend called me in 2019. I want dreads. And I was like, you should get them. That's amazing. And she was like, no, I want you to do them. I was like, I don't know the first thing. And she was like, you macrame, it's the same. I was like, I don't
It's
think it
not, but
is.
okay.
It's not at all. But yes, I will be nodding. So I watched some videos, did her hair in the DIY way. It was successful as much as now looking back on it, I'm like,
You're like, "Oh god."
oh God, I could have done so much better.
Burn the
Uh,
photos.
yeah, exactly. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't you toss a few in my hair? We'll see where this goes. And then I started going down Instagram,
Mm.
social media, and then I realized I had no idea any of you existed. I didn't know it was an art in this way. I only seen it at like festivals and different things. I never realized. And then I was addicted. I think like you, Liza, Liz are some of the first people that I got in contact, like followed. And then from then on, that was
Like,
it.
"Oh,
And
heck
I was
yeah."
like, yeah. And I was like, I think this is calling to me. So
That's
I
cool.
reached out and took a class and
That's so cool. Now, at what point in that journey, because that fleshes things out for me a lot, at what point in that journey did you connect with Liz? At what point did you guys cross paths?
I got really brave. So as I was mulling this over, I was thinking about it. I was also taking care of my father who had cirrhosis. So he was very ill. And so I was kind of just keeping it in the back burner in the back of my mind. But when he passed, I was like, life is short.
Yeah.
And I need to do something that like brings value. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to reach out to this. She's in New Hampshire too. She was one of the ones I'd followed the longest and
Right.
had seemed to have similarities. I'm like, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm just going to see. And within a week, she got back to me and I lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, is this going to happen? Am I
Ah,
going to
yeah.
do this? And I talked to my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. And I was just like, I think you should do it. What do you have to lose? And then I did. As soon as we met, I drove to her house. It was just only like an hour and a half from me, which was
Okay.
extra cool. And we clicked immediately. Like we just vibed. We got along great. I was there for about 4 hours. And then from there, she was just such a mentor and such a
Oh,
support for me. She was never not a gatekeeper, Liz.
yeah.
She just shares, cares, supports. I do not think that I would have gotten as quick as I've gotten, like
Mm,
where I've gotten if I didn't have her in my corner
for
being
sure.
like so it was an amazing move I made on my part. It was and that kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, not a thing for
Really?
me. Not before this.
Yeah.
Then once I did that, and then it's taken me so many places, I'm just like, you know what? Like
Maybe, yeah.
I'm gonna keep doing this. And then, you know what? Let's put a studio in the house. You know what? Let's
That's
like
cool.
put some reels out there. Let's see what happens with all of this. So I just
Which
keep
is
upping
very
it.
that's very brave because it can go either way.
It really can, and it's always tricky putting yourself out on the internet anyways, and
Yeah.
having an alternative hairstyle, and there's
Yeah.
just so many other worries that you worry about, and I'm thin-skinned, like, I don't
I am
handle negative.
too.
I am
Which
so
is so
thin-skinned.
funny because I get messages all the time. I'm telling you at least several times a week where people are like, "Hey, this situation happened to me," or "I'm struggling with this. Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking me?"
Because you seem so brave, you are so
It's a
brave.
lie. It's a total illusion. This is all smoke and mirrors. I
You're
am
doing an amazing
I am
job.
the most sensitive little kitten. It's
Oh,
so bad. So I appreciate you saying that because I am also extremely thin-skinned, and I had a mentor very early on many years ago that pulled me aside and was like, because she knew me well personally, and she was like, "With what you're doing, you're gonna get shredded." She was like, "I know you, and I know how thin you are and how soft you are and how fragile you are," and she was like, "You need to grow a thick skin really
yes.
quickly." And so
Mhm.
I've been trying to fast track that as much as possible.
It is hard. That's why I'm, like, afraid of the internet. I only have, like, very small following now, and yes, I want it to grow, but also at the same time, I'm like, "Oh, but
There's 2 sides to that coin.
there's there
Mhm.
really is."
Yeah, it's really tricky.
Mhm.
That's a whole other rabbit hole itself. So
Yeah.
you connected with Liz, she was like instant mentor to you. Give us a little bit more detail on that relationship and how that rolled out for you. Mostly because I want other people that are entering the industry to have some sort of roadmap, I
Yeah.
guess, maybe just off of what you did and how that worked for you. I think your proximity with her definitely helped. And it's such a sensitive thing because
Right.
I'm just gonna come out and say it because that's why we're here, is there's a very delicate balance between jumping into being a mentor to someone or a gatekeeper, okay?
Yes.
And as someone on the other side of that wall or whatever that is, just due to doing this longer, that's the
Mhm.
only difference, is that I feel like as someone on that other side, you're one or the other. You're
Right.
either instantly you have to jump into being a side-by-side mentor for someone, or you're a gatekeeper.
Mhm.
And that's what I wanna touch on with you, because I feel like you have the specific relationship with Liz that's went well, and she's jumped into it because she's so open with everything, which is so cool. But I want other people to get a peek into what that was like for you and to give a peek of what that's like for people like me, who you have that binary that we're forced into of you're
Mhm.
either helping or you're a jerk
Right.
because you wouldn't answer my message and tell me everything. And I
Right.
want people to know that is a very, this is me speaking for me, a very difficult position to be in. And a lot of times, I think people make assumptions that it has to do with competition
Yeah.
or not wanting to share, or maybe someone personal assumptions like someone's a jerk or something
Right.
like that. And just what I want people to know is that if you're on this side, you're immediately shoved into that binary. You have no choice
Yes.
between those two categories. You're immediately getting sorted into one pile or the other.
Right.
You multiply those requests, people asking for information or this piece or can you this, you multiply that times hundreds and thousands of people.
Mm.
And so I want to create and open up a little bit of a space of putting on someone else's shoes for a minute.
Right.
And I love the way Liz operates. She's very clear, she's very open, and I've always been a little bit fascinated about how she does that
Mhm.
because I find that very overwhelming myself.
Yeah.
And I get these requests daily. And so
Mhm.
I typically have accepted the label of a gatekeeper or a jerk simply out of the functionality of not having the time to do that.
Exactly.
I don't have the time. And if I
Mhm.
did that, how, and then you create another platform of potential negativity where if you help one person, but you didn't help the other person, then there's
Right.
another problem. So I'm just trying to open up a
Right.
space of compassionate understanding for those on the other side. And then also, what I open with is saying, I want to hear more about your experience with Liz, is because I think that I feel bad for creators that are coming in. They don't,
Right.
what, there is no roadmap. It's not,
Right.
you're not working within the Cosmo board a lot of times. There's no governing body that's here's what you do, one, two, three, four.
Yep,
You're
this is the
literally just
class, this is
flying
the
blind.
it's true.
So tell me how that worked out for you with Liz, and then we can talk about where you're at now with it.
So, Liz was, like, my goal as I wanted to reach, like, that person to teach me, but I had gone through different channels of other artists and some not well known on the internet, and but I ran into kind of what gatekeeping looked like in a way that was like, "I don't really wanna show you."
Yeah.
To I don't have the time and ability to seeking someone out who Liz was interested in teaching and had talked about it and touched on it. But I also think for her picking and choosing, I knew going into it that I had to kind of like a resume, kind of like a first impression, show her this was not going to be a
Right,
waste of her time
right.
and understand and respect that she has so much going on. I didn't want her to get any inclination from me that I
Mhm.
was like going to be wishy washy or not worth the time. So I think the responsibility on the one who wants
Yes.
to become the creator is it's you do have to prove yourself with anything in life. You have
Yes.
to prove yourself. And I think if you want someone who is successful and someone you admire, and you want to learn from them, it's really important to take the responsibility of
Yes.
showing them that.
Yes.
So it was like symbiotic. Like I was proving to her, and then she was like rewarding that by supporting me. And it wasn't what I had experienced with the past when I
Mm,
was looking before I got brave enough to ask her.
mm.
And then so I did run into a little bit of negativity,
Yes.
but I think overwhelmingly it was positive. But I think it's understanding like who you want to learn from, why you want to learn from them, understanding where
Mm.
they're coming from, and then all of us also understanding your responsibility in
Right.
it. So if I was like not my best, that reflects on me
Right.
and her.
Exactly.
So that was
And
kind of,
people need to know that is the biggest, most scary factor when
yes,
we want to not be in the gatekeeping category is quality control.
yes,
Every
you're
time you
risking it.
transfer a skill from person to person, there is a drop or a shift in quality control, whether
Yeah.
it's that person's approach or how new they are or how many heads they've touched. And I think people need to know that's the scariest piece that deters a lot of mentors away from helping others.
And I would totally understand that because I am in no interest. Like, I have people ask me here and there, can you teach me? Can you show me? I don't feel like I've been in the game long enough
Yeah.
to have that confidence, first of all.
Yeah.
Second, it is a huge responsibility,
Yeah.
especially in this. There's no, at least in my state, we don't need like a license, but you
Yeah.
need to be able to do it right because of the effects of doing it wrong is terrible.
Yeah.
And so I think it can get tricky if you're not careful.
Yeah.
As a mentor, I wouldn't want to be in that position. I want to learn from many different people.
Yeah.
I would love to travel and learn, and then I always understand that I'm going to go forward with this, and I hope I make you look good too. That's like my mindset is I'm going to make me look good because I'm
I
proud
think
of
your approach
myself.
is good. I think
Uh,
your approach, coming with the correct approach, having respect for what you're entering, having a relaxed approach. A lot of us, and I'm not just speaking for myself, so many creators, we will get a message from someone who wants to learn from us. And if you don't answer them immediately, the next thing you get is a nasty message. You know what I'm
which is
saying?
insane.
It is insane. It's
Mhm.
insanity. And so I think you're coming with the right approach. You're staying relaxed about it. You're carrying on that name and that training seriously. And I love that you just talked about like personal responsibility. I just love that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
wonderful.
huge.
Because not to characterize anyone coming into the industry in a bad way, because I think people come from all different doorways and all different motivations. There is a very large percentage of people that enter the industry because they see a price tag. It's the
Yes.
same thing that happens in the tattoo industry. Obviously, I'm a big tattoo gal, and
Love
so
it.
all of my friends are tattoo artists, all of them.
Yeah. Mhm.
And they see the same exact thing in their industry, and they say they get hit with 2 different kinds of people. They have somebody that comes with a
Yes.
sincere approach, that personal responsibility, respect for what they're doing, and then there are those that just pop out of the blue, and they wanna make a quick buck. So,
Right.
it's hard to discern who's who, and it sounds like you came with the right approach, and you were really serious about it and really passionate about it,
Yeah.
and I think that's what unlocked Liz being willing to work with you.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And then I think that by doing that, it has led me into so many positive directions. Even in my little New England area, I have a lot of clients that will bump into other people. "Oh,
Yeah.
does, Greenthumblady do your hair?" Like word of mouth. And so you
Yeah.
have to have that like good rapport with not only clients, but I also feel like good rapport with your colleagues, your fellow dreadlock
Absolutely.
artists. I think that is
Which is
super
harder
important.
to achieve than you would
It
think.
It is harder than I thought it was gonna be in some
Yeah.
ways, but and humans are gonna human, so I just try to keep doing my own thing and
Yeah,
then
I see
hope
that. I
for the
think that's
best.
good. I think that's good. I
Yeah,
think you're coming correct, and I think it's what's led to you doing so well so quickly. Like,
thank
fast
you.
forward to now you're at this place where everything's coming full circle. You were brave, you started this journey, you came correct, and now you're at this place where Liz is making changes in her life, and
Mhm.
she's what does that look like now? Are you receiving all of her clientele basically? Are you
It's
overwhelmed? Are you
it's
freaking out?
crazy. A little bit. A little bit. So yes, she has been amazing enough to leave a few names with her clients and leaving my name specifically. And as she was gone for her amazing
Mhm.
her trip, I had already had a lot of people
Right.
coming in through the summer. In the meantime of waiting for her to come back with this big change, I got like those people, and then a lot more. I locked my phone in my room in the studio
'Cause
for
it's like
like,
things are
I was just like, I can't do this. I'm not sure if I'm ready to take this on. I knew I was ready. I just needed a minute.
Yeah,
And now I'm scheduling, I am getting everybody in. I am, again, not taking for granted this amazing opportunity to be able to have this fluctuation in clients and get as many in as I can to meet them, to get so they can get to
yeah.
know me. And it's been in the last, it's only been a few weeks since this has all happened
Mm,
and is starting to happen. So it was shocking at first. And I got a good pep talk, and Liz was like, "You got this." Myself a few pep talks. And actually, this podcast couldn't have come at a better time to
right.
full circle that.
Yeah,
So a lot of new opportunities are coming up, whirlwind. I feel brave. I feel like I'm ready, and I
good.
feel more professional than I have before as, "No, I
Good.
got this," which is huge for me
Yeah.
and understanding that. So it's bittersweet. I'm gonna miss her.
So, I feel like I have a really clear picture on kind of your entrance into the industry, and it's so cool to know about that. And you said you've been at it for about 4 years now, correct?
Yeah.
But you didn't have any hair background before that. This was completely
No.
new going into the hair
It
world.
was, which was, like, call for controversy depending on who you were.
For sure.
Because it was funny, when the direction my best friend went to cosmetology school, and I was like, I would not want anything to do with doing hair. And then
Yeah.
fast forward 20 years, and she doesn't do hair. Now I do. I had no like any training background. I did, like, in the state of New Hampshire, you don't have to have a braiding license anymore, and it's covered as like a natural
Mm,
hairstyle, so that I didn't have to go to cosmetology school. I wasn't interested in doing anything beyond dreadlocks. And I understood, like, in my area, the cosmetology schools, like the ones close by, they're not really pop pro dreadlock. I don't know how, if cosmetology schools are. The one around here,
mm,
not so much. So it felt like a waste to get a bunch of training for things I wasn't going to
right.
do.
I agree.
But at the same time, I do sometimes get insecure when I hear like negative comments about, should, she be doing this, which I don't
Yeah.
hear often, but sometimes I do. And I have to
Yeah.
kind of push that out of my mind and know that
Yeah.
I'm on the right track. But nope, so I had nothing before this. This is why this niche just fell in my lap as like a fiber art. And that's what my friend had pointed out. She was like, "You're a fiber artist already. You work with wool, you're working with cotton, like, you're working with these fibers, and fiber is just
Right.
something that humans grow on their head." And I was like, "I've never thought of that before. I never, like,
I
dawned on
know.
me that,
It's a
like, yeah,
totally
we do
different way
grow
to
our
think
own
about it.
fiber."
And so you're leading me right into what I wanted to ask you about because you also do other fiber art and you
Yes.
do
Yep.
crochet. So when you tell people out in the world that you do crochet on hair or crochet, are they confused?
100%.
Okay.
Nobody understands.
And so
Nobody
yes, I
understands.
have the same experience where I'm like, I crochet and they're like knitting? And I'm like, no.
Mhm.
So what are, as someone who actually crochets, because it's not too often that I find someone that does both. It's either
Yeah.
one or the other. Do you feel like there's any crossover or do you think these are two completely different things that are just sharing a word?
It's, for me, 2 completely different things that share a word. Yes, we
Okay.
have the same tool, but the tools are completely different. I don't typically crochet the clothes and things I make with a tool as small as I crochet hair.
Mm.
And so that's very different. It's almost like when you crochet hair, you're using a little needle with a
Yeah.
hook on the end. I've been knitting since I was like 4.
Oh,
Macrame was a big one for me, and wool felting, things like
yeah.
that. And I was like, why don't I learn to just crochet things? And of course, having a studio, I want to make everything myself to sell instead of going outside. I always am like, I'm going to learn to make beads. I'm going to learn glass blowing. I'm going to learn
How
to
I am.
crochet.
Yeah. That's how I am.
So
Absolutely.
I I just love all the mediums that I can with art. I don't like to stick to one.
When you were doing art in school and growing up and things like that, was it always like the three-dimensional fiber arts or have you dipped into all of it?
All of it. So I started painting when I was like an angsty, angry teenager and
Yes. Same.
needed to get my feelings out. I did charcoal for a long time. Always went back to painting. That was my first love. I did sculpture. I did ceramics. I've done Even plant art, like I like to make a lot of living plant sculpture type of things. I
Same.
did that for a long time. And it wasn't until I really macrame did it for
Mm,
me, and like the use of my hands and that whole motion. I have anxiety disorder. So I really
same.
try to manage it. And yeah, see, for a lot of parallels.
Mhm.
You and I don't like to, there's different ways I like to manage my anxiety. I'm stubborn as
Yeah,
far as like, I
same.
don't need meds. I don't need
Same.
this. I just need meditation and some fiber. But I did find that the kind of like cross lateral motions and that
Mhm.
repetitive
Yes.
motion did something to my
Yes.
brain
Yes.
and allowed me. So like from then I just was like anything I could get my hands on. And
Okay.
then once I did the crochet, it was over. I've
Mm.
made ridiculous amounts of things in
That's
such a
so
short
cool.
time.
That's awesome. And you're able to offer those things in your space as well. Like, your clients can look at
Exactly.
them and get a hold of them
Yep.
if they want them. That's really cool.
Yep, exactly, which is motivating for me to, like, also be able to sell my art from coming from wanting to be an artist, being told it doesn't work for life, to being able to
Yeah.
incorporate it and be like, "It does.
It is.
It
We have
does."
so much in common that we would probably need, like, 6 of these to go over it all. Me growing up, my dad's an artist, and he's a very well-known artist, and everyone in my family is artistic. And so I was always told, interestingly enough, not as much from a money vantage point, but I always grew up doing art and selling art since I
Mhm.
was 12, 13, 14. It's
Oh,
always been a
wow.
huge part of my life, and I still do full time. Most people don't know that, is that
I
I
didn't know
have a
that.
full-time visual
Amazing.
art career that I do on the side. I'll send you my page. But
Yes, please do.
I remember coming to my dad and being like, "Okay, the obvious next step is that I'll go to art school." And my dad said, "Don't do that." And for him, his advice came from a place of him knowing my style and knowing how I like to work. And
Mhm.
he said it to me, which I don't know if this is true, but I trust his opinion and I'm glad I did, is that he said, "Art school will ruin you." And he was like, "It will sap all of the joy," because he saw me coming with such a like folk creativity, a playfulness, and he didn't want me to be ruined by that elevated view of art. I want to have more conversations about artwork in general with people because it's just such a fascinating world that I don't get to talk about a lot.
Ah,
Everyone I know is an artist, but it's something that we just do naturally, like
exactly.
as a survival mechanism. And so
Yes,
my whole point in saying this is just you talking about I did make a note. I was curious if you were willing to talk about having anxiety and how that rolls into this work,
oh,
and you're
definitely.
already answering my question of saying that you view your art as medicinal. And that's
Yes,
what's sending me off into
100%.
a rabbit hole is that for me, I do too. And
Mhm.
I have a clinically diagnosed anxiety disorder, and most people don't know that either. And art is truly my medicine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have white knuckled it through life so much, dealing with anxiety, not even understanding because I had
Mhm.
it since I was a kid. So
Yeah.
I didn't understand. It's just how I was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older where it was like, it wasn't servicing me in life. It was like
Mm.
taking from me
Mhm.
so many ways, but I had to find a way to control my own brain. And then I also find that talking to so many fellow artists, especially women,
Mhm.
fellow artists have very similar experiences. And it wasn't until I started opening up about my anxiety and my eating disorder, which I just recently did on my own social media, which was huge for me. But I was at this
Cool.
moment where I was feeling vulnerable, but I wanted to share it.
Yeah.
And the response I got was so overwhelming,
Mhm.
really positive, with so many women sharing their same experiences. And it almost was that moment where I was like, oh, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Like, we're not alone. And it's hard with anxiety when you're in your own war zone in your mind
Yeah.
to feel like you're not alone because it feels
Mhm.
pretty lonely in there
Yeah, absolutely.
when you're doing this. So I think like even opening up more and more, understanding it, understanding like it's okay that it is what it is
Mhm.
and that other people share this too. And
Yeah.
there everybody has a different way of coping with it.
Yeah. And I think normalization is the name of the game. And
Yes,
that was the biggest thing. Again, I hope people know what we're trying to touch on. What we're trying to touch on is doing the work that we do folds in with these things. They all
100%.
fold together. And so for me doing dread work, I hear all the time of people complaining about their problems, right? And the things that
Yes.
they deal with. And we create so much camaraderie in that space. But another reason to do this podcast is I wanted to expand that normalization. I
Mhm.
wanted more voices to be saying, "Me too. I deal with this. This is how I
Yes.
cope." And so I just love that normalization. And I think the more we do that and we desensitize these types of issues, we can make actual progress, you
Exactly,
know?
which is what needs to happen, and I am so supportive of it. Everybody is supporting each other, but for me specifically, like women supporting other women and
Absolutely.
understanding, especially in the medical field with so many things went understudied for
Yeah.
us and
Don't
so
get me
many
started.
things continue. Yeah, that'll be another podcast too. Like I know we're like-minded
Don't
in
get
that
me
as
amped up.
well. Exactly. So it's like really banding together to be like form this support system of not competition, but just, yeah, I have that too. This is what I do. What do you do? It's okay. It feels amazing.
Yeah, it really does, and I think it's really important. How do you feel like what you deal with anxiety, which is different for each person, how do you feel like that shows up for you as a loctician? Because I know that's a big thing for a lot of people.
Oh my gosh. My anxiety, especially in the beginning, I had a lot of overcoming to do
Yeah,
of putting myself out there. I find that it pushes me out of my comfort zone so much that I am almost like that's why I'm bringing it up more because
mhm,
I'm like recognizing it, wanting to talk about it, wanting to share about it so that it's other people are understanding that I have apprehension too.
yeah,
And then I'm going to be honest about it. And then I feel like it's opened up so many doors for
mm,
other people to be honest with me back. And I find in sessions, it will be like a therapy session with my clients for both of
absolutely.
us.
It's such a powerful bringing together of all these things. What else outside of dread work do you do that people may not see on your page or know about you?
Yes, I am an avid grower of plants. I have 130 house plants, but my
Wow.
passion, I like to keep them inside because up here in the winter, it's sad after. I need green. I need the smell of dirt. That helps my mental health
Mm,
an insane amount. And growing food for me. Before we moved here, I had a huge garden. I had 13 very large garden beds. They were like 12 by 6. I grew everything
wow.
from hops to my husband liked to brew beer. I grew herbs. I grew everything I could, anything and everything. Tomatoes were my favorite. My passion for that, I could spend hours and hours
Mm.
out there. So I would do
It is.
everything.
It is.
It is. And it's beautiful starting things from seeds. And then I could incorporate that at home with the kids, which was pretty fulfilling. And so I would always say, other than hair and fiber, out with the
Plants.
plants
Really cool.
100%.
I think it's so beautiful the process of starting things from seed. I just think it's such a life commentary because
Yes.
obviously it's beautiful and poetic to start something from seed. But I remember one of my neighbors who's older and she's a master gardener talking about how she'll put her seedlings in front of a fan or put them outside so that they can gain strength.
Yes, they
And I
are
was
hard
like,
enough.
I'm gonna cry about this plant right now because it just needs to get strong in the wind. Oh, it just hit me
It's
in
a
my
key
feels.
factor. It's a key factor. And I also love the full circle of gardening at the end of the season. You collect the seeds
Mhm.
and you dry the seeds, you save the seeds, and those are the seeds you plant next year. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
really love it.
Okay, cool. So before we leave all these other elements of your life, I also wanted to touch on your wool work as well. So, you have the crochet going, art going, gardening, all these different modalities that you have your hands in. The most interesting one of those to me is the wool.
Mhm.
So, did you take on wool work yourself or did you train in wool work with someone else?
I've done wool work in lots of different ways, like cleaning and needle felting. I was really interested in the specific style of dreadlocks that I had kept seeing online. And it was the texture almost looks like real hair. And I
Yes.
could not figure out where it came from. I was all over YouTube. I was up and down everything, could not find them until I found out it was a specific woman who
Yes.
had a specific way to do it. And then you had to take her class.
Mm.
And it was no question. I
Did you go to
immediately got
Jennifer?
Yep, I
Yeah,
went to Jen Selman. Obviously, she's in Montana, so I did everything virtually. Best choice I've made. It
definitely.
it brought both of them together. It brought the hair world, my fiber art, and something about working with wool. And when I took that class and understood, she taught so much in it. It wasn't just forming the dreadlocks, it's cleaning the wool, processing it, like
Mhm.
things and it branched out into this whole new
Mm.
interest that I had, but then I'm just taking wool to the next level. So I'll do my felting with my dreadlocks, and now I'm gonna spin my own yarn, and I'm gonna
Oh,
clean my wool from scratch, like off my own sheep.
I
Like
love it.
I've got some plans in the next like year or two.
Going all the way. That's amazing.
All the way.
We have so much in common in that respect. I'm very fascinated by wool. I don't know if you experience this with art, bringing this all together, but there's too many things to try.
Yes,
Me
is my
I
issue.
need a couple more things about your experience in the industry. What is something as you've dipped into this that has just blown your hair back that you didn't expect about the dreadlock industry? What has shocked you? Positive or negative? Or both?
Let's see, positive or negative.
Give me one of each.
Um, I am shocked that there was never like it was just so in the closet, I guess is the best
Mm,
way I can explain it. So secretive. So like I didn't know that you guys existed, like I had said before. And it just seemed this top secret club that you couldn't get into. And it was just like, how do I know how to do that? How do I figure it out? So the biggest surprise was that you all existed and that there was a professionalism in it. I also think the biggest surprise was how welcoming, I would say like 90% of my experience was with other artists willing
okay.
to share, which made it equally surprising when I would get
Right.
unwelcoming.
Yeah.
That was probably the more shocking when that would come about because I was almost like, oh, I didn't know this was not like the vibe here.
Yeah.
And so that would throw me for a loop. And of course, I'd internalize it and think
Right.
all these negative things about myself. And should I even be doing this? Questioning things. But I would say my biggest surprise was that this was a profession that could be
Mm,
professional.
yeah. I find that a lot of times, I don't know about you, whenever I'm filling out paperwork or I'm talking with another person, there's always a question of what do you do for a living? And I'm like,
Isn't it? I so love her because
uh,
then when you tell them, they're like, "Oh, what? Is
yeah,
that a," and then
they're
like
very
sometimes you'll
appreciative.
get the, "Oh, that's a job? Is
Yeah.
that a thing? Do you even make money doing that?"
Yeah.
And then it's like it gets into these questions that maybe don't mean to sound like,
It's a
but
lot of
so I'm like, "Yeah, it's a real job."
unintentional rudeness in there.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
one thing for me that I've struggled with as an adult is the automatic assumption that you're an unserious person.
Yeah,
Is so
yes.
strange. And so I
Mhm.
can be having an adult interaction with another adult my same age or older, and then as soon as I tell them what I do, something shifts.
Yes, I totally
And I'm
agree.
like, "Interesting." And I
Mhm.
let it roll off now, it doesn't bother me now. But again, I think that shock that you went through of being like, "Wow, this is a thing," is still very much happening. And so
Yes.
there's still very much a perception, not only the myths about dreads and all those stigmas and strange things that will have to shift over time, but then also just the recognition of what this is. I typically
Yes.
default to telling people that I do hair
Yep.
just to make my life easier.
Mm,
And I think it's the same thing going back to both of us doing art as well. I think it's the same thing with art.
yeah.
You could tell someone you work at a restaurant, or you could tell someone you're an artist, and it's very interesting that one of those is hierarchically treated in such a bizarre manner.
Yes, because that same old rhetoric of art is not a job, it's a
Mhm.
hobby.
Yeah.
It is not a real job, it is something you do in your free time, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's not true," if historically
Yeah.
not true even.
No, it's not.
So I don't ever know where that comes from, but I was and I had a hard time at first, I even went from, "I'm an artist," and then it wasn't until I started being like, "I'm a dreadlock artist," and that took me a minute to get there because of the response.
Yeah. It's
Of
very
even saying you're an
strange.
artist. It's so weird. It would make me feel like, "Oh, I'm not a professional."
Yeah.
But I'm like, "Yes, I am. I run my own business."
I
And
know, but
it's
the
you know
people
what
are
I
like,
mean?
"What?"
Exactly. That's a thing?
Will there be this thing where you can say that to someone and they you don't have that dynamic change suddenly
Right.
when you tell them what they do? I'm very interested to see if that shifts.
Me too. And I'm interested to see I'm also in such a world of social media tricks my mind. I think everybody
Mm,
has dreadlocks
I
now. I'm like,
know.
it's just such a big thing now. Everybody has it. And it was Liz who had to remind me, she's everybody on your algorithm has it. And I was like,
Literally.
oh, social media
It
is
creates a
so
very strange separation.
yeah, because I'm like, "This is so popular, I can't believe it," but it's not, it's just that's what I'm seeing all the
Yeah.
time because it's my interest, so
Yeah, so
it
that's
really is.
very weird that we live inside that dynamic. So welcome to the cult.
Oh, I'm so
of-
happy to be here.
What again to the industry and just your experience breaking into it, Who's your favorite? Who do you love to see? Who's your number one that you are just so giddy about what they're doing?
I really enjoy Daily Dread, Heather's. I love her work. It was fun to watch her grow so quickly and like
Yeah.
cheer that on. There are so many even close to me that I haven't met yet. And I would love to meet. Like, you are one of my favorites, and I'm not just sucking up, but like your art, I love your colors. I love the designs you do. So it's not just putting the extensions on and the dreads, it's about
Mm,
how you take the picture. It's about the colors you use, the extensions. I am like very inspirational on a lot of your work. So I
it's
love
good.
to see that. And then my girls in Connecticut, we're all in a little camaraderie here. And actually, Ashley is going to come up and visit tomorrow.
Good.
So she's another one I
Oh,
like to connect with and see what she's doing.
it's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And then I love Nicole Rowley in Florida. There's nothing she
Yeah,
can't do.
love her.
Not the
What
one at all.
expanding on that, what are your favorite trends that you see right now? What do you see happening? What do you see people doing that you're like, "Hmm,
I've also been inspired. It was like long, luscious locks with like long ends on them. And now all of a sudden it's going away, and I'm
mhm."
intrigued
It's
by
very
short
interesting.
dreads now. It is interesting. So I've been starting to take out my own extensions, seeing
Uh-oh.
where my actual hair is, and it's pretty long still, but I'm thinking I'm gonna go the no extension short route
Do
for a
it.
little
Do
while
it.
because I'm really curious about it. And then I saw yours and I was like, all right, it's calling to me that I wanna, because I've got all of
Give
this. We know
me
what
a
this
week
is.
or I'm gonna put it back, so,
And that's the beauty of
it's an
dreads, my favorite
addiction.
part of dreads.
Yeah,
Is my favorite part of dreads is, if I take my extensions out and I don't like it, then I'll just put them back
just
in
put them back
after,
in.
and it's fine.
So you like the shift, and this is what I try and tell people is that things can shift on a dime. Trends, and that's quite a challenge when you're the creator or the distributor of these things is keeping up with it and staying on that leading edge. I
Yes.
do also, like you, I see a big movement towards traditional dreads, OG dreads,
Mhm.
short dreads, natural. I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many to choose from, as I wanna heighten my skills as far as, like, layering. I don't know
Mm.
why,
It's
but
tricky.
my it is tricky, and it's tricky from someone who never came from a hair background either. I wanna get You do a really amazing job, and I think I have work to do on that.
Mhm.
I'm getting there, but it's the one I don't feel as confident about, so
Yeah.
this is the one I wanna nail because I
Yeah.
got the technique of crochet down really well, adding extensions, great, but it just that kind of piece that I think sometimes you don't think about until you're doing it.
Yeah. And this is what I was literally having this conversation yesterday about layering because someone was like, I was basically talking to a client about it and talking them into it. It's a two-sided thing because yes, you want to learn it and you can observe other creators and things like that. And having that background helps. And then learning it and not having that hair background, that's one side of it. The other side of it is that trust of that client.
Yes.
That's a really intense thing to do, and
Mhm.
I had someone I was the day before yesterday, actually, and she's like, "How do I get this?" And she's showing me pictures, and I said, "That's really intense layering." And she was like, "Okay, I'm cool with that." And I said, "Okay, let's dive deeper. Let me show you how short I'm gonna hack into
Yes.
your dread to create that." And she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Yes." So the
Yes.
other side of layering, I was talking with Angel Locks in Australia about this because she wants to bring that in too, is you have to have confidence and consent from your client. And
Yes.
especially when we're dealing with something that's as sentimental as a long dread that they've grown that they have that personal connection with, hacking into that, you have to really get the consent on that.
Yes, you really do.
Yeah.
And you I also would say, even going as far as that brings me to my other challenge I would like to get is those old locks, those 20-year-old big locks that sometimes your clients just, I want to split this up. And my
Yes.
heart immediately drops because of the anxiety that comes into cutting into a lock that old. I know what that lock means to them. It means that to me, and it's not even mine. And then understanding the technique. It's not just willy-nilly, like, you have things you need to understand about
Mhm.
hair and
Yeah.
dreads and how they form, and I think that comes with practice,
Yeah.
like, observing, learning. I had a client while Liz was hiking who needed this to happen. He needed a few split up, and I was like, "I know
It's
you're
a
on
whole
the
thing.
trail,
Please
but
answer me.
when you get a minute."
That's hilarious. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, and it's just and then the other thing about this that a lot of people don't realize is that your communication skills are everything. So you can
Yes,
know what to do or not know what to do. Can you communicate that to your client?
exactly.
And that's why I really am pouring a lot of energy into making sure that I'm working with people that I have a really great relationship with and that I have
Yes,
excellent trust and communication with, because if that's not there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good
exactly.
you are, and
Exactly.
you for you
Exactly.
to succeed in this industry and to do well. I was curious about your area. Okay, so let me tell you the view from the outside. I'm down here or over here, however you want to say it, in Ohio. You have states where there's nobody around.
Right.
You have states where there's high concentration, low concentration, and I've watched those areas shift and change like a map over the years, and it's very fascinating. So your area, however, has always been high concentration,
Yes.
and that's always fascinated me. How do y'all handle that? I don't mean in terms of like competition or clientele. Is there legitimately enough people to go around in
It
that
seems
concentration?
not everybody would think so, I would say, but for most of the time, yeah, honestly, it really
Interesting.
does. We have I I didn't when going into this, I was like, "Who's gonna really come to me?" I haven't seen a dreadlocked person in the grocery
Right.
store since I've lived here, and I once I put it out there, found out that there was one lived down the street, and I was like, "Wait, where did you
That's
come
crazy.
from? We could have been friends."
Yeah.
So, there's a handful of us, and our people have found us, and then they stick with us, and I'm also I taken on the role of like even learning from Liz. And I tell my clients all the time, if you want to branch out and try someone, I don't own you. I
Exactly.
want you to experience other artists. This isn't just because I'm the first one you found, first one you went to, doesn't mean that
There's
I'm the
no
one
loyalty
your only
program.
choice. Yeah. So I always encourage people to like check other people out and to try different artists if they
Right.
want to.
That's really cool. That's wonderful. Because it is such a touchy thing, and I think the most important thing, and I appreciate this about Liz, is that early on there was a movement many years ago, I couldn't think of the year, where there was a buzzword going around where everyone was saying and hashtagging community over competition. And
Yes.
I thought that was wonderful, but there's 2 sides to it, and the first person to address that and to say, "Hey, there's 2 sides to that," was Liz. And I
Yep.
really appreciated her coming out and saying what was unspoken. And again, just back to that, like normalizing these concepts and actually talking
Yes.
about them and not leaving them in the gray and the unknown. And I loved her perspective of being like, there is nothing wrong with competition. There is
Hmm.
nothing wrong with being a practitioner or a business owner that is aware of your surroundings and is I'm going to sound like a total asshat when I say this, but I'm pretty used to getting flack for my opinions. I typically found that the community over competition flag or bandwagon, if you will, which I totally agree with 100%,
Hmm.
was typically being peddled by those that were trying to benefit from those that were already working. Now, it's a
I see what
beautiful
you're saying.
sentiment and I agree with it
Right.
100%, but there was stuff that was being lost with
Hmm.
that bandwagon. There was either it's tricky because
It
there can be
is.
lack of respect. There can be, okay, so now we're not allowed to talk about business things.
Right,
Okay, so now we're
right.
not allowed to focus on what's good for us as creators. So
Mhm.
now we're discouraged from leveling up in any way. And you see how it takes that away? It's such a wonderful
Yes.
sentiment that I agree with, but it takes away a little bit. And I feel like the way Liz put that, I can't remember her actual she talked more about, like, competition being a healthy thing, and I was like,
Yes.
"Thank you for saying the other side of that coin." I'm always most interested in all the information being represented and never really going completely with one side or the other. So, I just have always been curious about how the New England area handles that. It seems like you all have a great relationship, more
Mhm.
so than the rest of the US,
Yes.
which is fascinating to me, and I'm just like, that's just so interesting to me and to other creators that see the New England area as like, y'all are literally on top of each other.
And
There's
that's what it feels like because being New Englanders, we're in all the states all the time.
yeah, and it's
Like,
such
we're
a small
just
area.
everywhere. I will say that I do sometimes get insecure as
Sure.
if things are going and I'm doing well. I don't want to piss anyone off. I'm having trying to have good
Right,
relationships. I think locations, there's lots of
right.
factors. And then sometimes when I'm doing well, I feel guilty. Like, I don't want anybody to be mad and angry at me or think
Right.
I'm stealing. And then things can happen and get back to you where you maybe there
Mhm.
was an artist that was not so happy with that you're
Right.
on the scene. And then I have to have like that, am I doing the right thing? Should I back off? But then you're like, wait a minute,
Right.
this is my business. I'm working hard
Right.
too. And that's okay.
And I feel like that right there, what you just said, is the piece that's missed in the effort to create community and friendships and collaboration, and I feel like it is such a delicate and fragile balance to strike, and then we're not even
Yes.
talking about the element about what happens when someone's in your area that is not doing well. That gets very
Right.
tricky.
It is very tricky.
And then what happened? How do we handle that as a community? And it's just no one's talking about these things, and you have to really handle them with kid gloves, and the circumstances of each situation is so different. But what I think it dips into, that's fascinating to me, is a lot of us in this industry, it's female dominated right now. So it's like mostly female practitioners. A lot of this dips into and starts to scrape along the surface of our psychology that we're taught as women.
Yes. I stay on the chill end of things. I like everyone. I don't want to step on toes, but I'm going to do my job.
Good.
I feel like overall, the overwhelming amount of artists in the area all have that same understanding.
Yeah.
We want to work together. We know that our people go back and forth. For instance, that woman that I couldn't work on her hair that I wasn't comfortable with, I knew where she was going and I was excited. And then when I saw the outcome of that, I really praised the artist that did it because I was like, yes, like you did amazing.
Yeah.
And then in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, I hope that I can learn from this and then get an opportunity to. And I feel like you grow as a person if you have better connections
I agree.
with your colleagues.
And I think we could all definitely take note from that. And then also another thing that I think people don't think about is that so you have everything we joked about it being like a cult earlier, right? So you have all these people within this grouping and within this industry that all of a sudden these are people that you would never meet on the street that then are, I don't want to say forced is too strong of a word, but we're expected to be in relationship to one another. The thing that nobody's saying is that in normal life, in other industries, out on the street, you would not get along with everyone. You would
Exactly.
not like everyone, and there could be
Right?
nothing wrong with someone's work. You could just plain and simple just not jive with somebody.
Exactly.
And what I would wanna scream from the rooftops is that's okay.
It
You're
is.
allowed to just be like, "Love their work, not my cup of tea." There
Exactly.
is absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I think that's I sound like such a jackass. I love community and I love collaboration, and I hold the creators in this industry that I am friends with and get along with, I hold that so dearly, and it's so
Mm-hmm.
important to me. But I just don't want us to forget in the sweep of that, that it is okay to not get along with everyone, and it is okay to not shrink yourself or not stand up for yourself or for your boundaries to just disintegrate in the name of community and collaboration. It's
100%.
so
And I
tricky.
think it even goes back to what we are taught as kids or what people even teach kids now. We all have to be friends. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. That's not realistic to even teach then. So even my son had an issue at school. We were talking about it. And I was like, you don't have to be friends with this person. It's just
Yeah,
about mutual respect.
right.
You're in the community together. You're both in the community. There's no choice. So you don't have to be best friends. You can just respect each other as
Mm,
individuals. And I just think that same in this
yes.
world, in any world, it's just, we're not all going to be friends. That's
Yeah.
not even how humans work.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
just having a level of respect and understanding
Yeah,
is what I think matters. And I also think one of the key things for our New Englanders, because we have so many people that go in between us, is clients are friends to an extent.
right.
You get very close to them.
I feel like we've done a fantastic job of kind of holding that paradox. I think it's this huge paradox that's not talked about, and again, just I think that your area is doing so good with it, and you guys really stay on the positive side of things, and yeah, at least from the outside, that's the view, and I think that's great.
It feels that way on the inside.
And
It's really
I'm watching New
nice.
England too because we're seeing this sweep the nation as well, and so I'm like,
Hmm.
"Are we all gonna behave like New England is behaving? Is everyone going to be nice?"
I hope so. We can do
We
it.
can do it, we can do it. You know, that's one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's the spicy one, it's the one that nobody ever talks about, but looking more towards the
Yes.
future, what is next for you? Whether that's in your life or in the dreadlock industry, what's the next stop? What do you have your sights set on?
Aside from the sheep and doing like a full service it's part of the business, I'm actually expanding my space. So our next
Okay.
step is expanding space to make just a bigger studio space so I can sell all my things and have a a better entryway entering my home. So I really want to work on that part of the business.
Mm,
My space, I've got the skills, I've got the things. I want the space, I want the sheep. I want to be able to say, look out there, that's where your hair's coming
it's so
from.
cool.
Full service. So those are business wise, those are the biggest steps. Personal life, like we bought the house. We got married, we bought the house. Our kids
Right.
are all old enough now that they're doing new things in their lives, like driving cars and playing sports. And so that's actually been a beautiful thing because it frees me to not just be like the mom, the wife,
It's
the
a weird
housekeeper, the
time, isn't
chef.
it?
It is. And now all of a sudden I was like, wait, I am a person with my own things. Ah, what a
Crazy.
joy.
I'm right there with you.
It's so exciting.
Do you ever see
Yeah.
yourself bringing in elements that you'll grow in your garden into your practice?
Oh, I would love to. So, one of the things that is on my mind is using plants to dye wool. My
Oh.
artist clients love, I think about a lot of the dreadlock people, they love an all natural situation. So I've been getting into a friend of mine does a lot of dyes with natural
Mm,
dyes and fruits and skins. And so it would be very cool to do the gardening, the growing, and then be like, also, I dyed it with that I grew out there.
wow.
So I just, I like to make things
I'm
from
gonna come
nothing
live
is
with
my,
you. That's awesome.
yes, come stay with
I'm coming
me.
to your area. That's wonderful. I feel like I've wrung every little drop I can out of your minds, and I really appreciate you letting me ask you all these questions. And I really do think that anyone who's listening hopefully will spend some time on your page and see what you're doing and really continue watching you for your future because I feel like you're just revving up and you're taking off from such a good base, which is wonderful. And
Oh,
the
thank
biggest
you.
shift that we're all watching is Liz going into new chapters and you taking on a lot of her workload. And I feel like your shoes are big enough to carry that and you've done right by it and we're so happy to have you here in the industry and
Oh,
you're just such a breath of fresh air on my feed. I'm always like, "Oh, it's so wonderful." So keep doing what you're doing. We're definitely going to have to do more talks about art and just all the things that we do. I think we have so much more in common and that's the point of this podcast is to show that we have way more in common and that the side that people are seeing of us on social media, typically Instagram, is just one side. It's just one
exactly.
small side of people. So, yeah, thank you so much for your time and for answering these questions, and I look forward to letting other people get to know you as well, so thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much for this experience. I was surprised. I was like completely shocked.
Surprise, girl, you're
And
at the top of my list.
oh, I didn't even hearing that. I was so surprised. This is such a good opportunity and to allow me on your podcast and getting my name out there. I am so
Yeah,
appreciative. And also learning so much about you was very exciting because we rarely, really are.
I know, and people just don't they just get that one side on social media. So hopefully this long form stuff will help us dig deeper, and I'd love to have you back for maybe an art talk would be cool.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Our talk and telepathy tapes.
Yes. Oh, okay, write that down. Okay, thank you so much. I'm
Thank
gonna call
you.
you Green Thumb Lady because
Yep, that's the
that's
name.
what it is. Thank you, Sarah, so much, and I will talk with you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.